Manchester United 3, Everton 1 into the fourth round of the FA Cup, following United's 7th win in a row in all competitions. Pretty nice, that
Pretty lovely. But 3-1, I think, is quite a nice scoreline. Obviously got a penalty right at the dying moments of the game. United did look shaky in places today. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. I think if we come up against a stronger team, we would struggle a little bit. I don't say we would lose, but we'd struggle more than we did in that game. But you got to take some of the positives. I felt Rashford again looked like a proper shining light in that squad. And Martinez returned. Midfield was okay. It wasn't as strong as it normally is. But again, 3-1, we take it.
Yeah, I think just having a few minutes after the game to consider everything that happened, I think the mistake by De Gea completely threw them. And whilst Everton had some chances, they didn't really affect afterwards. And they were coming over the top, but would have taken 3-1 beforehand. And De Gea's mistake aside, it should have been a clean sheet, really, shouldn't it? You know, so we could say we didn't play too great. But I think the reason the majority of the first half, when they equalised, was so lacklustre was just the wind was taken out of the sails pretty much. I think if that doesn't happen, then it would have been a convincing win. Like we said before on the live, is that they were the sort of games that we were throwing away. We were dropping points or we were losing either last season or anything before. 7th game on the win, man. This is a good time to be a Man United.
It's good, isn't it? And it feels like. I think we've seen in the past sort of good, strong runs to the starts of managers' sort of tenures that didn't work out. Obviously, Ole was one that is an obvious example for United fans. I think Emery at Arsenal as well, they went like 20-odd games unbeaten at one point, but it was a lot of draws in there. United, I think for the last 18 or 19 games, it's something like 16 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss. Yeah. Or maybe it's 15 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss. Either way, it's like proper phenomenal sort of run of form that we're on. It's not just like, we did it under Van Gaal at times where it's unbeaten in 12, but it's 4 wins, 5 draws, whatever, or 6 wins, 6 draws, whatever. Do you know what I mean?
You should be doing maths till you're 18.
Yeah, hopefully I will be one day. But do you know what I mean? It would be as many draws as wins. And I saw the win rate of Man United managers ever, but after the first 25 games, I think Van Gaal had 9 draws in those first 25, and I think Ten Hag's only had 3. And currently, as it stands, obviously he's only played 26, 27 games as United manager, but he's got the best win ratio of any Man United manager ever. So it's not just it's a decent little run of form. It's consistent, really good winning games form. Yeah. And like you said, this game today was slightly concerning in that we gave away chances, and that stretched sort of midfield and defence that we saw a little bit in the last game, where Ten Hag spoke about it and said, if we play like this, we will start losing games because you can't conserve energy when the game is this stretched. Everyone has to run further to get the ball. Everyone has to do more. And we did see a bit of that tonight, didn't we? Was that a bit of a concern for you?
It was a bit of a concern, but the way I look at it, trying to put a positive slant, is that they can improve on that because they're aware of the mistakes going into the games against sort of City. So if we were going to play this football where we are getting a bit stretched, I'd rather if it was against Everton than it was Man City. Do you know what I mean? It's easier now because then Ten Hag's got another body of evidence to say, look, you're doing this wrong again. You can't do this against the likes of Manchester City. But Ten Hag he's exceeded everything that most of us expected. And then you were talking about winning runs. I think the one thing that everyone clung to with Solskjaer was the unbeaten in away games and stuff. And a lot of them away games were sort of scrappy, maybe like last minute winners or
there's a lot coming from behind as well, wasn't there?
But I think the blueprint's been there ever since we lost the second game of the season, when he'd made his decisions on what sort of players he wanted to keep and what style of football he wanted to play. And it's just been building and building and building. It's just, it's all hopefully heading towards some form of silverware at the end of the season. Yeah,
as you can see, he gave everyone a chance at the start of the season because that's what he's quite good at doing. Everyone gets their second chances for a lot of the players. Everyone gets an opportunity to try and do what they want and oppress the manager. Now he's got his favourites. Now he knows the team that he can put out, the players that will work hard for him, the players that will give 110%, the players that will do what he wants them to do because he's got a philosophy of how he believes he can win games. And sometimes it's beautiful and wonderful and it's 3-0, but other times like today, it was a little bit trickier.
It's only 3-1.
3-1 today. Yeah. Everton, 3-1, but it was a scrappy 3-1.
Yeah,
Everton
it didn't
as
feel
well.
Like a 3-1 really.
No, Everton as well. You were literally fighting for the manager, weren't they? Because Lampard, who knows his fate after this? You would say it was really downhill from here. So they kind of threw everything at us in the first half and a bit of the second half. I think some of our midfielders were a bit off the pace today. Casemiro, he's come under a lot of praise, and I love the man. There was just one or two passes that didn't flow today for him. We all have our off days. Look at Joe Smith. And then Bruno as well. I said beforehand in the game, if Bruno doesn't play well, United often don't play well. And although we got the win today, I thought Bruno was a little bit off the mark as well.
Yeah. Just on that, Fergal McClements with the super chat says one of Casemiro's slackest games tonight, but Fred was good when he came on.
Fred
was good when he came on, wasn't he? And like you said before, I thought Fernandes stepped it up a notch noticeably in the second half. I thought they all did, because first half was really sluggish and slow, wasn't it?
Yeah, they just couldn't get out of the lower gears at all, especially after the equaliser. Fernandes seemed a completely different player in the second half, and I think the injection of Fred, and I know a lot of people are quite critical of him and he might not have the best ability, but I think his energy and how industrial he is around the box can become infectious. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of people say, all right, well, he's running around, and because Fred's running around, it makes other people not look like, you look even worse because you're not making an effort. But I think there's a lot of positives to take from it. We've been concerned recently about how many goals United have been scoring. If you look at the space over 2 games, we've scored 6 goals. You know what I mean? That's an improvement. Yeah. There's definitely question marks around Martial. We mentioned that before the game in terms of whether he's good enough to hold the line at Manchester United. Yep. These are the games where we were discussing and saying that this is where we'll struggle, and evidently he did, because he hasn't got it in him. Rashford scores goals when the game's against, when it's tough. You know what I mean? He came up against that, and what Rashford has that Martial doesn't is the determination and the drive.
Yeah, and that's a massive thing as well, especially if you're not in the greatest of form. And I think that sometimes with Martial, I know that's his style or whatever. That he's got that more relaxed kind of play style. But then also you think, if you're going through a really tough time, try something different. Just sprint a bit more and really sort of try and push your way into the limelight a bit, because it seems like he's not happy necessarily, but too willing to just be having a bad run of form and not doing enough to kind of fight his way out of it.
He seems very resigned once he thinks the game's not going to be one of his days where he's going to score. He just seems to withdraw within himself.
Yeah.
And I know what you mean in terms of the style of football. It's quite, I know obviously the French saying, is it laissez-faire? That's that sort of nonchalant style. And Berbatov used to have it, but Berbatov used to come up with the goods. And I remember the times that Berbatov wasn't playing well, Ferguson would give him a bollocking, and then you'd never seen a man run around so much, so much, and you just don't see that enthusiasm from Martial. And I think, unfortunately, it might be his undoing.
Yeah. Hopefully, this. Like I said, there's still plenty of time for him to turn it around. But focusing on Rashford for a little bit, because he was our man of the match tonight. I think he was the actual official man of the match as well. Got the assist for the first goal, basically created that second goal. I know it was a Cody own goal, but it was his good play on the left-hand side. Capped it off with a goal at the end as well, taking that penalty, which surprised me a bit because I thought it'd be Bruno. But Rashford now up over a goal every other game this season, 13 goals in 24 games for United, which is good sort of number 9 numbers and excellent winger numbers. He's got 4 assists as well, 5 assists actually. After tonight, he won't get the one for the Cody goal, but 5 assists and 12 goals already. 13 goals already this season. It's mad how much he's improved compared to last year in it. Like, this is back to, I think, probably after this amount of games, as good a season as he's ever had. Yeah. And then you compare it to last season, where he was just so poor. It's so good seeing him back to where he is now.
There's been definitely a change, not just in his fitness, but his attitude as well. If that's been more of a positive thing in terms of mentally, where he's at in his life, but also the people that are surrounding him. In terms of the coaches that we have at United, if that's changed as well. You look at the fact that Ten Hag's bringing a whole new bunch of coaches to work with the strikers. So I think there's talent there in Ten Hag's coaching staff that can get the best out of young players. They go and tell Rashford to be confident and just be himself as well. There was a lot of times where he just went for the ball and just attacking. Yeah. He led the line with pace, with quality, with skill. He drew defenders out. He made defenders frustrated. He made them tackle him, like put one on him. He got into people's faces. They were annoyed by him. And that is the quality of a great attacking player. And he did really well in all 3 goals. His involvement was in all 3. So very pleased with him, and he's on the form of his life now. He can only get better, I think.
I think he scored in certainly 6. I think it's 7 goals at Old. He's scored in 6 games at Old Trafford in a row now, Marcus Rashford. My only worry, and it's obviously, you could say this about any top player, is if he does get an injury, or if he does get a suspension, or if he does, where else do we win games from? Because like I said, he created or scored all 3 goals tonight. And if you take him out of the team, is that a worry for you at all, or do you just think, well, he's playing well, any player that's playing well would be a miss if they got injured?
I don't know. We can like any player that's playing well will be missed, but it's pivotal that he score goals to win football matches. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If a centre midfielder's missed, but he was playing well, you can sort of cover that up. You can get through games. But I think that I know a lot of people are getting excited and probably overly excited that we could go on to maybe not win the league, but push more for a title challenge. Yeah. I think we do need to get more goals up front or having more contributors on the score sheet from elsewhere amongst the pitch. But just to touch on Rashford there, do you see any correlation between the Cristiano Ronaldo not being there? Because I think that Rashford was held back with Ronaldo being there last season. And if you look at Ronaldo this season, obviously there's a changing managers since Rangnick. But I do think that Rashford feels like, before Ronaldo came, Rashford was the sort of golden balls, and he was like, Manchester kid bringing his team back to former glories, and that's what he seems to have returned to now. He feels to be not carrying away, but trying to rebuild this sort of phoenix from the flames.
It feels like he sees himself as either one of or the leader in the attack now. Whereas I think when Ronaldo was there, he made it clear that to everyone, I'm the leader of this attack. This is my front line, and we do it the way I kind of want to. The manager's there, but do you remember he basically said, I think before what Rangnick said, who even is it?
Yeah.
And you can't imagine that it would have been too different under Solskjaer, because, Rangnick has probably done more as a manager than Solskjaer had. So maybe now Ronaldo isn't there, we can kind of spread responsibility or let it kind of go where it naturally would, rather than forcing the responsibility of a 29-year-old Ronaldo or the sort of the ego of a 29-year-old Ronaldo into the body of a 37-year-old Ronaldo who can't really do the things that his ego kind of suggests he can. We've got a few super chats. Brian Kevill says Garnacho over Anthony any day, so predictable. But again, he's got a goal today, and I don't think he had a great game again, but I just feel like
is the goal? I feel like this goal holding him up.
It is to a certain extent. Yeah, it is to a certain extent. But I think that United, not necessarily over Garnacho, but this is more of a defence of Anthony. I think we have a more symmetrical, sustained style and shape when Anthony plays than when anyone else plays on that right hand side. I think he plays the off the ball tactics of Ten Hag better than any of our other options. Even if he's not at his best on the ball, I think he holds his width better. I think he arrives in the box at the right times. And I think that, is he our second top goal scorer this season? Certainly close. I think he's got 5 goals now. And I don't think it's just by accident. I think it's because he's sticking to that system so well. I think his on the ball stuff needs to improve, definitely. But I don't think he's detrimental to the team necessarily when he's playing there. That would be my only defence.
Yeah, he offers a balance, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I think because he hasn't got the on the ball ability that a lot of our play seems to be going down the left flanks through Rashford. Sooner or later that's going to get predictable, and you'd hope a man of that we spent that amount of money for and Anthony, you would be seeing a lot more coming down the right, but I didn't really see much of that tonight.
No, me neither. Liam Pickering says there's always a drop-off in quality after Ten Hag's 60th minute subs. Is it the decisions or the quality on the bench? I think, didn't we score both of our goals after those subs?
We definitely scored the penalty, didn't we?
We didn't score the first one. That was quite early on in the
No, but was it? That
was like 52, 53.
Okay. To be honest, I haven't noticed that drop off in quality after the 60th minute, but maybe that's certain positions we don't have great backup.
I thought after the subs, the players that Fernandes and
Fred against Wolves. Did we not improve against Wolves as well on New Year's Eve?
Yeah. Anyway, maybe it's something that I'll keep an eye out for going forward. MLK says Berbatov would have never missed that Martial chance first half. I forgot about that one. 1-on-1 with the keeper, opened his body up. But, we can talk about Martial a lot. He's not played many games over the last couple of seasons, really. So I'm willing to give him a bit more time to try and show what he's got, especially if we don't get a striker this January. 100%. Let's get behind him a little bit. But yeah, he needs to start doing a bit more in front of goal than Martial.
I mean, if them chances would have resulted in us losing today's game, then we could have been a little bit more critical of him. But the way football is and football fans being fickle, you get a pass because we want it.
And also, it's fickle, but also winning matters more than anything, doesn't it? So really, you weight the win over the performance every time.
Yeah, and I'm we've had nearly 10 years of moaning about players and stuff. Let's concentrate on the positive, man.
Yeah, Manchester United have beaten Everton 3-1 through to the fourth round of the FA Cup. Another trophy United are still in. Another run on this 7-win winning streak. Good. I think, what is it, 1 loss in our last 18 or 19 games now for Manchester United, which is absolutely phenomenal as well. Thank you very much, Joe, for coming on. Where can people find you?
Find us at the Sloppy Joes podcast.
Sloppy Joes podcast, link to that is in the description. And Scotty, where can people find you?
Find us at the Scotty and Motty podcast.
It's just podcast central round here. We'll be back over the weekend with the news, and we'll be back, of course, on Monday morning with the podcast and news and everything there. Manchester United have beaten Everton 3-1 at home, slightly lucky, but the winning streak continues, and we're through to the next round, and we'll see you in a bit.